back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Akal. I post self-development videos every Tuesday. I also post lifestyle and beauty videos and all that amazing jazz like vlogs, etc. on Saturdays. So I just have a question. Have you subscribed yet? If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button and turn on your notification bell to receive a notification every time I upload a new video. And if you're a returning subscriber, my OG, welcome back. Thank you for showing me support and showing me love. I appreciate it so much. So let's just go straight to this video because I thought of doing something a little bit different. I know it's not related to the content that I usually post, but I just felt like I needed to share this because it's actually important. Even though 20 people, 30 people, 50 people get to hear this, I know that I have passed my message across. And from the title of the video, it's about choosing peace and not war. So if you don't know this about me, I come from a war-torn country, that is South Sudan. My country was at war for 21 years until 2005 when the peace agreement was signed. So South Sudan has been at war with North Sudan, and in 2011 that's when South Sudan gained independence from North Sudan, or the current Sudan. The fact that my country has been at war for 21 years actually says a lot, because there's a lot of effects coming from a war-torn country. And considering the current political situation, which I did not intend to speak on, or I didn't want to dive into it, mainly because I don't know if I'm well knowledgeable enough to speak about it. What I know is that I can speak about war from my experience as a South Sudanese, as someone who comes from a war-torn country. So I was born in a refugee camp, and at that time my father was working as a medical doctor in the refugee camp, helping other refugees from the same country because there was no access to good medical healthcare. Part of the effect is the displacement of the citizens or the occupants in that country. My family personally was displaced, and they had to walk more than 1,000 kilometers for months with no food. They were attacked by rebels. There was a lot of atrocities going on during that time. I was not born, but this is the stories that is being passed down to me. So during that time, when there is displacement at the time of war, it's actually very traumatizing, because this is your home. This is what you have known all your life, and it's taken away from you because it's no longer safe. When there is a war in a country, it not only affects the people in that country, it also affects the people in that region. And so as a South Sudanese, a lot of South Sudanese were displaced from our country, and we were dispersed all over the world. So that is one of the effects of war, is the displacement and the dispersion of family. Another effect is that there is loss of life. There is lots of bloodshed. I did not experience the war because my family went to seek refuge outside the country. But there are family members, there are people who died during the time of war. And there is no way that you can sugarcoat or just try to minimize the fact that war is ugly. The people who died during the time of war, this is someone's brother, someone's sister, someone's mother, someone's son. It's very painful to see so much loss during the time of war. And as a South Sudanese, I have experienced so much loss, and it's very disheartening when I tell other people, coming from an outside perspective, because I was not in South Sudan during the time of war. I was displaced, but there are people who are there, and millions of lives were lost. When it comes to war, it doesn't matter which region you are in. There's no special treatment. It doesn't matter if you are from North Africa, from South Africa, from Europe, from America. It doesn't matter, because as my grandmother says, my grandmother actually witnessed the war, and she always says that a bullet does not have its owner. It doesn't have a name marked that this is a soldier, this is a civilian. Whoever comes in the way is going to get it. As a South Sudanese, when I hear people talking about war, it is hurtful because I know the effects of war. There is peace in my country right now, but it wasn't always like that. People are traumatized. There's a lot of disabled people back at home, back in my country. There's a lot of orphans, people who lost their moms, their dads, and they have nowhere to go. This is very disheartening. I'll also use another example of Rwanda and Congo, which are neighboring countries in Africa. These countries are one of the richest countries in the world in terms of mineral deposits. They also experienced war. One thing that was very prevalent in all these wars is that the teenagers are actually recruited as soldiers and they die in the war. The women, although they might not be fighting, but they experienced a lot of atrocity. A lot of women were raped. A lot of women lost their husbands, their fathers. Let's not go into genital mutilation in Rwanda, which is extremely painful to think about. With war comes a lot of loss, comes a lot of crimes being committed. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. And it's very scary when we are in a very uncertain political situation. When people talk about war globally, it's really scary, especially for me, someone who comes from South Sudan. During the time of war, you cannot access basic needs, things like education, things like healthcare. Let's not even talk about housing. All that is lost because that is not a primary concern. The only primary concern is to survive, to live, to see another day. Whether you have clothes on your back or you have food to eat, that doesn't matter sometimes because it's war. And these are some of the things that some people might take lightly, but it's a serious issue when you talk about war. Lastly, I will mention how detrimental it is to the economy of a country, because if you can't even feed the people, if you can't educate the people, if you can't give people good health care, the economy is actually shattered during the time of war. I will not talk about this because they're more experts, but I will give the example of my country, because after we got our independence in 2011, unfortunately, there was a war in December 2013. And during that war, it actually shattered our economy. Our currency is extremely weak. Inflation was extremely high. Even though the war did not last long, it had a long-lasting effect on the country. When money is taken away from the economy, from growth, from building good healthcare, from giving a good education, from just growing the country, and just being inputted into the military, it affects the economy. It doesn't matter who you are or what social class you come from, everyone feels the pinch. This is very unfortunate with the current political climate, that we are talking about war lightly, but I would like to just urge, it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, what you do, what your skin color is, but everybody from every single part of the world to just think about peace. I know how it feels like to be in a war. I know how it is to be a refugee. I know the life that someone has to go through. I have seen the effects of war from a sideline. I know the value of peace. And so this is why I chose to make this video, just to ask you to choose peace, not war.